Paul, you on?
Hey, Annabelle.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. I was
Good.
actually on, and I had to just make sure my phone was on airplane mode. Okay,
Okay, cool.
how's it going?
Good, it's good, good. Let's give it a few seconds while we
Sure.
get people on the call and then I'm going to try to record this on YouTube.
Okay,
We'll do a live YouTube and then we'll see how it goes.
that sounds good. I've also got a quick news article. It'll be quick
Okay,
from multifamily housing news. So
cool.
yeah,
Fantastic. Right. Well, I like your background.
thanks. So do I.
It's a great view. I
Yeah,
like the big open space, big, huge fireplace. That's nice.
yeah. Oh, I know. I know. I just moved into a place that I like it so much I don't even want to travel right now.
Oh, yeah. I just, it's funny because I just got off a call um coaching uh client, or no, a coach that I know, and he was just saying no one should be taking any vacations. Like May, June, July, August. He's
Oh,
like,
really?
this is like the time to really push through and
Yeah.
anything you need to do, like do it after. Because these next few months are like supposed to be good months. But all right,
Okay.
let's go to live on YouTube. Sure that yes, and go live.
Looks like we're live.
Let's see here. It's kind of loading on my end.
Okay. It says it's streaming on YouTube right now for me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Looks like we're live.
So I need to, can you hear me?
Perfectly. It
Okay,
says it's streaming on YouTube right now for me.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but the problem is I have to mute it or else we're gonna hear. I need to. Let's see here.
That's right. You're going to mute.
I muted that. So it
Perfect.
should be, let's see here, minimize, and then I think we should be good now. Hmm. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is multifamily, a weekly Zoom call with Annabelle Pacheco and Paul Krause.
Hello.
Hello, hello. And this is a call where two professional real estate agents are not only in the business representing clients, but are currently investors and have experience in multifamily. And we're going to just share with everyone today, an opportunity that's available that Paul Krause will be presenting. So Paul, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Annabelle. And if I can share my screen,
Yep.
that would be a great way to start out. So, hello, everybody. I wanted to share a quick article that I saw in the multi-housing news. This is a great. Let me share that. This is a great little quick article here. Student housing developers get creative to combat high interest rates. So we're in an interest rate environment right now. Obviously, everyone knows that rates have moved up and they've stabilized for now. This article was written on May 10th, so it's it's not too old. And basically, what the authors were writing about is the fact that even in the commercial space, in the multifamily space, the use of longer time frame amortization schedules are now being used in order to maintain the same or only slightly higher monthly payments. So this is a big deal. And the reason why that is simply is because just like the 35-year, 40-year, and even 50-year amortization schedule was introduced in residential only about 4 or 5 years ago, the commercial space now is seeing this as a product that, in order to cash flow an important asset, which is housing, and it's not just student housing, but it's really all housing. And even though this was specifically around student housing, which is obviously there's a lot of demand for student housing in and around all these colleges and universities, and there's massive development need, yet the cost of money has gotten more expensive. So they talk about the use of longer amortization schedules to reduce that monthly payment that would be paid to the lenders in order to do development work. So it might just be a matter of, the first developers who can really take advantage of this are the ones who can get favorable lending. So I just wanted to point that out because even in the residential sector, we're now seeing creative financing as a way to not only enhance development, but also as a way to provide more housing nationwide. So that was a great article.
So more affordable housing
Yep.
by extending the amortization years. Wow, interesting. All right, very good.
So I wanted to show two properties that our group is selling right now, and this is the first one here. This is called the Edgewater Multifamily Investment Opportunity in Chicago, which is it states that it's a 10-unit building. There are actually more than 10 units in the property. There is a coach house, which is very similar really to a single family house that's in the backyard of this property. So this property is, basically the picture is facing the property from the street, and it's broken down into 3 different wings. So this is the first wing, this is the second wing, and then this is the third wing. And there's 9 units in the first 3 wings that are above ground. And then we have an additional unit that when the property was purchased, it already existed. So this is called Garden 1, and these are the windows for the first garden unit. And then there's another garden unit, which we call Garden 2, which is in this set of windows. So there's actually 2 garden units in this building as well. So in addition to the basically 9 above ground units, there's 2 below ground. And then there's also an entire coach house that sits in the back of the property. And that coach house is actually a 3-story single family house. And in addition to that, there is a garden unit to that single family home. So it's actually 2 more units. So this property, when it was purchased, it was purchased this way. There was 3 wings of 9 units, and then there was an additional 2 units that were in the basement, and then there was an additional 2 units in the single family house that's in the backyard. So it's really more like 13 units. So as you kind of go through this, keep in mind that this is actually generating a lot more income. And you would want to think about it that way only because the price per unit numbers are going to be way off. So the 3,395 asking price is actually based on 13 units, not on 10 units. So I want to just pause right there, Annabelle. Any questions about that so far?
So 3,395,000, divide that by 13 units, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're looking at 261
Yeah.
per door,
Yeah.
261,000 per door.
Yep. And 261 as an overall number for this neighborhood is about a market price. 261 sounds really high, like, oh, you know what, shouldn't it be 100 a door? Well, not really, because the neighborhoods in Chicago, if I've learned anything, they are all unique unto themselves. They're different. This is a north neighborhood, north city neighborhood that is got very nice proximity to Loyola College, Loyola University, and it's called Edgewater. So that's the part of town, and it's also close to a historic district as well. Being close to the campus obviously is a big attraction about that particular neighborhood. So in the analysis, we did break it down, but I'm going to skip the really quick information and I'm going to go into the pro forma information because I think this actually helps a little bit more and I want to make that a little bit bigger. So can you see those numbers pretty good?
Yeah, that's good. Let me just double check because I know Andrew is on the call and he came in after we started. So Andrew,
Great.
any questions? We're actually Paul's presenting a opportunity of multifamily 13 units that are available for sale. Any questions that you have before we continue?
No. I'm just here being nosy. I've been wanting to jump on one of these for a while, but I always see the posts late. So that's why I made it a point to add it to my calendar and I'm here. I'm just taking it all in.
Okay,
I'm interested
fantastic.
in buying. So I'm just trying, all these terms are, I've seen them, but now it's making sense. So thank you.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. This is really meant to be like interactive and the more questions you ask, really the more money you end up making. So, all right.
Sounds good.
Go,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. I just put my contact information in the chat as well for everybody if they're on Zoom. Okay, let's move on then. So talking now a little bit about the data for the building itself. So right now the building is a it's a fully occupied building right at the moment. Okay, there are a couple tenants that are going to be leaving at the end of their term, which one of them is going to be in 2 months and then one is going to be in 3 months. So there's going to be some turnover. The numbers that I'm showing you right now are for straight leases, okay? There's no short-term rental leases going on right now with the property. So everything is a straightforward 1-year lease. And I just want to kind of highlight some of the information. So as we're starting out here, this is the current gross income. And the parking here has to do with the fact that this property also, in addition to the single family house that's in the backyard of this property, it's also got 10 garages. It's got 10 garage spaces. I think there's two car garages that are shared, but then the rest of them are all separate. So some additional income is generated by the parking. Parking is at a premium in neighborhoods like this. So just be aware that it's not uncommon in this neighborhood to have parking garages that renters are also paying to keep a car. Even though this property is close to public transpo, there are folks that they still like having a car, in Chicago, so they'll rent like one spot, and they are allowed to rent more than one spot if they're willing to pay the parking fee.
So parking's not included in the rent.
It's not included; they pay for it.
Okay, all right. And what are you charging? What do you charge for parking space? Yeah,
it can be anywhere from $50 to $100. A private garage is usually like $100 a month. And then a shared space would be like $50 a month.
Okay.
For one parking spot.
Okay.
And the other reason why that's important too is because space is a big deal in all cities. Chicago's no different, and some people like the idea of using garages for storage. So if they have valuables, If they have alternative, transpo, like for example, if they have a car and a motorcycle, they just want the space. So what are they really renting? What are they really getting? They're really just getting more real estate. That's what it's really about.
Got it.
Yep. Great question.
Mhm.
The income then that comes from the non-conforming garden units is attached here as well. The reason why that's not put in the gross potential rent is simply because the city is chock full of properties that are they're identified as a certain number of units legally. They're conforming to a certain number of units. However, over the years, it's not uncommon that as long as height requirements have been met, garden units and attic units have been augmented to accommodate additional space, additional housing for a very high demand, what is essentially a very high demand, city to begin with. So it's not uncommon to see non-conforming units where they are legal in that people are allowed to be there from the perspective of, they meet code requirements, but they're not considered in the conforming, what I would say, description of the property, legal description of the property. Water certification is how in the city of Chicago you determine how many units you technically have that are conforming. Okay.
So are you collecting, I'm sorry, are you collecting between $1,400-$1,500 per unit on those, the non-conforming?
We do, yeah. It used to be more. Yeah, it used to be
Okay.
more. Used to
Two
be about
bedrooms?
6.
Is it a 2-bedroom?
2-bedroom, 1 bathroom.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
They were both already there as existing 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom property apartments, private, totally private, with 2 separate access ways, one in the front of the building and then one in the rear. And we just simply repaired and replaced whatever was there. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah. Vacancy factor is always factored in at 5%, so that's pretty common,
Mm-hmm.
which leaves you with an effective gross rent and a net operating income. So if we just take that net operating income, which is current at 218, divided by the asking price 3395, we're at about a 6.4 cap. So what I can share with you is that it's 6.42, just under 6.5%. Right before interest rates were trading higher about a year ago, this neighborhood and most of Chicago was a 5 cap. And you really didn't see 7s and 8s and 9s unless you were either in really rough neighborhoods, vacant or nearly vacant buildings, I should say, or you just had you had abandoned buildings. So we have gone from essentially about a 5 to a 6.5 in Chicago in a really short period of time, in my opinion. And even though some of the neighborhoods are still trading around 5 3/4, Wrigleyville, Roscoe Village, because they're just incredibly high demand, Lincoln Park, Lakeview. I think it's fair to say that if you were to really mark to market these buildings, you probably find that the cap is higher. We're now comfortably in the 6s, so that's what it is. Okay. Moving on, then we did a pro forma breakdown for expenses, and it's always done per unit as well as the total, just to kind of give investors an idea. The breakdown always usually describes how the different, what they call the unit mix that's involved, and if you have vacancies, if you don't have vacancies, how much the rents are per unit. The garages, like I was saying, provide some additional income.
Good.
And then rent roll. All of that information is here. I put my information in the chat. And then obviously we like to have sold comparables so that people can kind of get a feel for if they're investing from out of state, looking for a place to go with a 1031 exchange, that they can get a feel for, well, what is the neighborhood like in general? And as you can see here, 392 a unit, 406 a unit, 362 a unit. These are comps that are spread out over 2020 and 21. And you might say, hey, PK, why do we not have a 2022 or a 23? This neighborhood, it does not trade in high volume. If anything, I would say it's the exact opposite. There's very, very low turnover in this neighborhood. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. I guess we've got 122 right here. And again, that one traded right at 341 a unit. So given that, even if you only looked at the conforming units, it's really nice. It's priced nicely so that if someone wants to come in, and I'm going to go next to the finishes. If someone wants to come in on a building that basically is a little bit more turnkey, again, here's the location of the property in Edgewater Glen, north side of the city. Again, here's the property, the 3 wings, the single family house that's in back. I do want to point that out because that's a biggie. That was a big deal buying this property. The back house is several $1,000s of rent every month. And then these are the 10 garages. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge property.
Yeah, it looks huge.
Okay, and some photos of the exterior. And this is what I also want to show is that the finishes, new cabinetry, new fixtures, new appliances. We've regentrified essentially the existing hardwood floor, or we used luxury vinyl where it made more sense. So it's really a great looking apartment, great looking building. The inside, especially on the 3rd floor, beautiful views. The approach was a little bit more minimalistic, stick with things that are simple. And like I said, and here's our coach house in the back.
Did you do the repairs? Did you guys do the repairs to this property?
We did, that's right.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yes, so this is a property where we went in and remodeled the entire building. We didn't need to go down to the studs because it had great bones. The floors were nicely leveled and the ceilings, and the walls and everything was, just really great fortification, just great bones. So we worked with what we had. And as you see here, there's a furnace here. So this is a boiler type heat. This is our coach house in back. This was what I was sharing, which was a big part of why we wanted to buy the property. It's a single family house. Now they call them coach houses in Chicago, but it's essentially a single family 3-story house. And then in the basement is another unit. So it's another 2 units right there. So it's a bonus of 2 extra units, additional it's either an additional $4,000 to $5,000 every month on top of the other 11 units that are in the front.
Nice.
I don't want to go too fast. Are there any questions? Or
Andrew, any questions?
No questions. Nope.
Great. That's the coach house right there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And now you can see it from a little bit different angle. And kind of also what I was saying in Chicago, very common. You see the garages here. These are our garages. And all these garages, they are really, really super valuable. It's just a way to buy more real estate in Chicago. The other nice thing too is that in the coach house, as you see here, we have an air conditioning condenser. So we installed central air. So I know the summers are short there, but believe me, when it gets warm, it gets warm.
And the garages there, are those, oh, that's what it looks like. So there's 2, garage door for 2 and then 1?
Yeah, it's a combination of a couple of different combo setups. Like this is one of the setups that's set up more like a 2-car garage And then in addition to the 2-car garage, you've got a alternative vehicle. So if you had motorcycles, if you had a smaller, like let's just say you had an electrical car, or if you just wanted to use it as storage, you have that as well. Inside the coach house, this is, again, it's more like a single family house.
Yeah. Very nice,
Thanks.
very nice upgrades.
Yeah, it's a great asset, and made really great use of the attic as well. So a lot of usable square footage for sure. And then we always like to indicate, what the demographics are, in the general area, things like that. Just your basic your basic information that helps people to understand, males, females, 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, things like that. Median income within the area. And as you see here, the median income 2022, 3 miles and then 5 miles. And why is there such a difference? It's the college. Being close to Loyola University is a really big part of why we made this purchase. But onward and upward to the next project. So this one is for sale. 3395 is the ask. It's 13 units. It's, like I said, at a 642 cap rate right now. And yeah, we'd like to do a deal with someone on this. So if there's no other questions, Annabelle, I'm gonna take it away to the next building.
Yeah, let's see. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Hey, Bill, good to see you.
Likewise. Love learning about your program.
All right.
Glad you could join today. Okay, so second offering is an 8-unit building that our group got involved with a couple years ago. This is the outside of it. It's an 8-unit. This one is set up a little bit easier in terms of it basically just has 2 wings here. So the first wing here is we've got 3 upstairs units, and then our second wing is right here, and another 3. This property is a conforming 8-unit, so we then have a garden. There's garden number 2 and garden unit here, which is garden number 1. So this is a complete conforming property. We are looking at this property from the front of it, and this is in the Bronzeville neighborhood within Chicago. 8 units. And let me move on. Kind of what it looked like
That
at
looks
night.
nice.
Yep. Now I'm going to skip down. Again, offering price 1,675. Current cap rate on this is 8. Why the difference? This is in the south side. South side trades higher in Chicago. This is a very close and proximate to the Obama, where the Obama library is going to be built. And it's not just a library. Folks who are familiar with the locale in Chicago know that Obama decided to turn his library into a campus, and his campus might even include a golf course. Now, that part of it, from what I understand, may not be finalized, but the campus aspect absolutely did. So it's important to understand that this was a play on being near Hyde Park, and that's where the former president has took up residency after serving for 8 years as the president. So our move into Bronzeville was the fact that there was a lot of activity, a lot of gentrification activity going into Bronzeville and buying properties for cheap and fixing them up, making them really, really nice, and doing all sorts of really good things. Like, we did individual HVAC on the units, kind of what I would call a faster moving, kind of like a faster moving neighborhood for Chicago in terms of a sense of a pride of ownership in the apartments themselves. So I'm going to scroll down to the financials again. And are those numbers big enough? I can make them a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, perfect. So again, gross potential rent with some pro forma upside. I want to mention that in both of these buildings, we've been studying for the past year the possibility of doing short-term rentals as any apartments come available. At the moment, this building is full. We did have one turnover, but we just signed a lease 2 weeks ago while I was in town there, and so I just want to make it well known that we've studied for the past 2 years both of these buildings, and the short-term rental possibility of renting these units as short-term using using the furnish apartment model would nearly double the income on these. It's something we've actually considered, but because we've gone into some more acquisitions, we're now going to realize some equity at this point and begin some work on some new acquisitions we've made. So these buildings are now for sale. There's a ton of upside. Again, 188 is the gross. Using 5% vacancy as a factor gives you an effective gross income, and then there's your net operating income at 137. So on the 137 current, this does not include the new tenant that we just signed. So I just want to make sure you're aware as I kind of read off these numbers that it comes up to an 817 cap rate. That's going to actually be a bigger cap rate now that we have a new tenant who's come in. The new rent is going to that they signed is $19.50 per month, so it's going to add over $10,000 to $11,000 of annual income as well.
That's great.
Okay, moving on, and then we also provided some pro forma info on the expenses and how we arrived at them. The expenses are still pretty low in this. Why? Because we remodeled the property. We've got a building, so this is where the building is right now. I also want to mention that, especially on this call, it's important, our group got involved as well on another acquisition that's over here. So we have a building here as well as this one here. So if anyone's looking to pick up two buildings and they're looking for a larger investment, or they're doing a 1031 exchange, I just want to mention that we have not only this building here that I'm describing today, but we also have another 12-unit building over here. So when we moved into Bronzeville, we really tried to find pockets that we could get at a good price with strong enough rent and strong enough rental demand. And there are new projects literally littered all over the place. There was one here, which is a brand new ground up. And then there are a few gentrified buildings which are over here. And then there was another one it was either this one or it was this one right here. So there's a lot of gentrification in this part of Chicago. It's actually an exciting part of Chicago because it's got a lot of music history for artists, and the whole jazz being near Hyde Park, the whole jazz experience that was born in America. So this part definitely carries that kind of influence, and you see it in not only the architecture, but you see it in the murals that are drawn on the side of the buildings. Those buildings are not graffiti. That's actually there are every mural in Chicago. Not a lot of people know this, but they're actually logged and licensed into an archive with the city in the building department. So each mural actually has a number designation for it.
Are these C class or B class?
I would put this one more as the property is more in like a C plus B minus, and the building itself, I would say, is maybe even more like a B to maybe a B to a B plus, like a little bit nicer than the neighborhood. The only thing that we didn't do is we didn't splurge on quartz. We used countertops, the corkboard type because of the look and the aesthetic. But on the other hand, we did do separate HVAC, and as you can see on top of the roof here, the condensers are all up here so that each unit could have its own system. Great question. Great question. Again, a couple different angles from the building. This back here is when we took it before it became our parking. Parking here is not charged, so it's included. And the reason why we do that is because, as you see here, in the south neighborhoods, you actually have a lot, you don't have the same amount of density, so you have a lot more availability for parking. So, in addition to the parking in the property, you also have ample parking in street. The south side has quite a few more lots. This lot here is actually owned by the city. So, and how are they acquired? They're usually acquired through tax sales, basically taxes not being paid. These are previous owners who just basically walked away from the properties. And the finishes.
Really nice inside. You've done a great job.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Yeah.
so what do you think? I mean, for someone that's looking, right, to buy,
Yep.
what do you think? Where's the value add opportunity for them on this property?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And the answer is, if we were to, I'll go to comparables in a sec, but if we were to hold on, had we not made additional acquisitions that we had just completed last month, our goal with this was to wind down the tenants into either do rent bumps or just, quite frankly, start going to short-term rentals.
Okay.
The short-term rental market is so strong that, especially, I'm not sure if we have a third floor or a second floor building picture. No, I don't. This is more like the first floor, but the views from the second and third floor are gorgeous. And the short-term rental demand in Chicago is incredibly high. It's incredibly competitive because and when I say competitive, it's competitive against doing 1-year leases or 2-year leases because the hotels are so expensive. There's simply not enough downtown hotel vacancy and occupancy and availability for people who are looking for what I call mid-market availability. Mid-market being somewhere between that $150 to $250 per night room rates. There are times when the room rates go from $150 to then up to $375 over the weekends. Or sometimes in the summertime, you can't get anything for less than $2 or $2.25 per night. So by offering a short-term rental, whether it might be traveling nurses, whether it might be business travelers, at even $150 a night at 20 nights, that's $3,000. That's nearly a double on the existing rent, and that would double your cap rate. That was the direction that we were starting to look at for this upcoming year had we decided to stay in the property. So if we were to stay in, that is the direction we would go, is we would go short-term rental. The only units that maybe we wouldn't do would just be those garden units, just simply because we would want to try out the short-term rentals on the more primo third floor and second floor, because the view is just awesome. It's just so great.
That's great. Let's stop for a moment and see if anyone has any questions.
No
And
questions here.
any questions?
No.
Bill, any questions?
No. I'm taking it all in.
Okay. So
Just wanna
what
show
area
something.
are you in, Andrew?
I live in Upland.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you remember me, Annabelle. I used to work with you at Section 21 Masters, Andrew and Lourdes.
Oh yes. How are you,
Yes,
Andrew?
we're
Of
doing well.
course.
I got a license, and then I got more into I purchased a short-term rental. I have a rental in Bakersfield that I'm renting out, and I feel like now I want to get more into, it's easier just to scale up with the fourplex or 8 units. It's just a lot easier, I feel.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great. What company are you at, Andrew?
DZ Penner Podley. So we used to be Podley Properties. We were acquired by DZ Penner. We became DZ Penner Podley, and yeah, we're all the way from Santa Monica, offices in Santa Monica, all the way to Glendora, all along the 210 freeway.
Very nice. Did you meet Bill there
I
at
didn't. Yeah, I
Oh.
met Bill. Both Lourdes and I were
Yeah.
able to work with Bill, and he was there. He was just always busy recruiting. He was a busy guy there.
Bill, Andrew was IT at C21 and Lourdes was the receptionist, right?
Yeah, she was like she started as a receptionist, and she became Neil's like personal assistant.
Personal assistant, yeah.
And then and then we came over here to Podley Properties in Pasadena,
Very
and yeah, a lot of
nice.
changes.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
So
Bill,
now
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
No, so now I saw you posting about multifamily, and so that's why now I'm kind of just getting into it, because I went from the short-term rental where we have a cabin, and it's just so much more work for us to manage, because as soon as we got our just normal rental, traditional rental in Bakersfield, it was just night and day with, as far as like, we just collect the checks every month and it's so much easier.
Right.
Now I'm looking at even I guess they call it medium term rentals. That's a hot thing right now. So that's why I'm even looking into that, and that's where I'm kind of leaning towards, or something like a fourplex or one of
Mhm.
these bigger buildings. So I'm
Very
just
good.
taking it all in.
Very good. Well, I think before you jumped on the call, we have, I mean, I'm a real estate agent broker. I mean, I've been doing this myself, and I've invested in multifamily, and I've flipped, hundreds of homes throughout my career. And, the nice thing of multifamily is that it does, I mean, when you scale, it's just much easier, right? Because if I'm fixing 2 properties or 3 properties at the same time in different locations, the cost, I mean, it's obviously costs more, and it's harder to manage. Whereas I had 34 doors in Texas, and it was much easier to manage, and I self-managed it myself from here.
Oh wow.
So so yeah, it's definitely great. I love multifamily, and Paul is, currently selling these properties, which I think are a great opportunity for someone that's looking to scale.
Yeah,
So,
and not just that too, but I think the short-term market in certain cities, and you got to do your homework, you got to do your due diligence, but the short-term rental market in some cities is just so strong still, even with everything, okay, interest rates going up, and the fact of the matter is it hasn't slowed down. It's been very steady in certain places, and these properties, we studied short-term rental in the city of Chicago for a year. We literally studied it for a year because we didn't want to jump on it. Kind of like a lot of investors, a little more conservative, wanted to just make sure that we could stabilize the buildings first, kind of get a feel for, okay, what are the work orders going to look like? We've done, a lot of construction and all that. But one of the parts of the cycle that you want to get comfortable with is, okay, once you've done construction, you've leased it up, how is the building running? Like you kind of, every part of the country goes through seasons, winter, spring, summer and fall. You kind of you want to see how it goes. In Chicago, we have to worry about snow, so you have to have snow removal. Dallas, you don't need to worry about that, or usually you don't, right, Annabelle? So
right.
I think it's a good idea to know what you're doing first. But these buildings are great. This was one other thing I wanted to show Annabelle as well.
Yeah.
So in 21, this is where Chicago was trading, about a 6.5 to 7.5 cap, very loose, really, really dependent upon, did you have world-class finishes and things like that. And that's why I wanted to point out that it was only as recent as September of 22 where we are at 7.5, and now we're already at 8.25 to 8.5. So different neighborhoods are going to trade differently, and that's something else that you got to become familiar with, because if you're going to get involved with a refinance, a bank refinance of any kind, you've got to have a sense of where your neighborhood's going to trade. They're going to want to know what are the expenses, what are the income expectations, not just now, but what are the expectations in the next 3 years. So, but yeah, these buildings are for sale. So I've got my contact information again. Paul Krause, you can reach out to me on email, which is the best way, or you can also reach out to me. I put my phone number in there as well.
Yeah, and
Cool.
I think you have my contact info, Andrew. I mean, if you have any
do.
questions as well,
I can
feel
Google
free to
you.
reach
I
out
got you
to
on
us.
Facebook.
And while I have you and everyone here on this call, we as part of our service as well, we host a monthly event, first Friday of the month, and that's at the Holiday Inn in Diamond Bar, and it's agents helping agents. This is an event where we just bring value to the table, and we want to create a group of agents that we can all work together with and just leverage off of each other's, just either connections, knowledge. It's just a group that shares information with each other. So that's on Friday, first Friday of the month at the Holiday Inn in Diamond Bar. And so we welcome you to join us, stop by and, check us out and see what we're doing. And then this call, which we do weekly, Paul and I do this weekly. Next week, we have a lender that will be joining us and just kind of sharing, if you're looking for you're going to purchase multifamily, well, what's required, what's needed. And she'll be on the call. And, we try to have guest speakers, multifamily guest speakers, to just come in and share and provide information for those that are looking to purchase multifamily. So thanks for stopping by and joining our call today. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in years.
It's been a long time. Yeah, no, thank you for, this is super valuable information. It's hard for me to make it to those in-person meetings because I work full time. So I'm on my lunch right now, kind of jumping on this, but maybe I can take a day off and swing on over.
Is Lourdes an agent as well now?
No, she's not an agent. I wouldn't call myself an agent. I'm licensed, but I don't.
Okay.
I do more IT. I usually just buy for myself, just for investment purposes.
Okay.
But she works. She does the onboarding for the new agents. So she does HR related stuff for the company.
Perfect. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, it was great
seeing you guys.
Seeing you. Yes, say hi to her, and you're always welcome to join our call.
Yeah, thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Bill?
All right.
Bill, good to see you.
Paul, nice to see you. Hey, Paul, I need to get you back on my real estate investing Zoom call sometime.
Yeah, no, I'd love to join you. Especially I'm selling these buildings, Bill, and we're doing some repositioning, so it'd be great. Just let me know. Let me know a good time.
This coming Tuesday at 3:00.
This Tuesday, I'm in Tucson. We have a property under contract.
How about in
I love it. You don't waste any time.
June 6th.
That's probably June 6th. June 6th? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
June 6th is fine. Yeah, I'm here.
Andrew, if you know anyone else that's looking to get into multifamily, looking to buy, purchase, let them know about this call. Paul has these properties that he is currently selling, and we're trying to see if we can connect with someone that comes to these calls, to try to see if we can help him sell that property.
Yeah, I'll talk to some of the managers here at the office and see if maybe they can pass out maybe some flyer or something, or even have them on a call similar to this in one of our office meetings or something.
That'd be great. That would be great.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Very good.
Well, thank you guys.
Well, great seeing you guys. Thank you very much. And
Thanks all.
Take care.
See you next week. Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye. Take care.
Thanks. Great to see everybody.
All righty. Bye.